Hey, we're live.
Hey.
Two kinds of people in this world, this kind and this kind.
And you've got them both, you lucky humans. Oh wait, that's I thought this was my last few gummy bears, and it's not. It's my empty bag of bark fins.
Can I just tell you that I've been using the Sprouts sour gummy bears as motivation at work? So I complete a task and I eat a gummy bear. It's effective.
Haribo sours.
Are we family?
Family. I stole some of Ethy's Sour Patch Kids the other day, and she was a real not happy about it. But I was like, these taste a lot better than I remember them tasting. Something in me needs some serious citric acid right now.
I had never eaten Sour Patch Kids because, I don't really like sour candy, and sour gummy bears don't really count. They're not that sour.
Right.
And then someone gave me some not this past Halloween, but the one before when people were still around me. And they're delicious. I have been sleeping on Sour Patch Kids my whole life.
And they're a really good texture. Like, I like gummy bear texture, but it's a little too stiff for a sour candy. Although what this reminds me of, like, the texture of gummy bears is very specific. And in the summer of '99, my favorite coffee shop sold little bags of chocolate-covered gummy bears for like 80 cents. And so if I really, really needed some calories and I had 80 cents, which isn't hard to find if you're willing to lie about not having bus fare.
I mean, to be fair, you didn't have bus fare either.
Didn't have bus fare. And I was trying to get home. I just never specified farther than that. Anyway, yeah, the texture of the sour gummies reminds me of the texture of the chocolate-covered gummy bears. And it's just...
I really like the Sprouts ones. They might be a little chewier than you would like because they are quite stiff in texture, but I like that about them. I actually let them get a little bit stale before I eat them.
Okay. Like Kit with the tortilla chips.
They are delightful.
Oh, we were talking about 80s movies.
We were. So, favorite 80s movie that might be a 70s movie because I haven't looked up the year it came out. So maybe I should do that while you discuss yours. Hang on.
Right. Okay. So I got to be a kid during the 80s. So I remember when Labyrinth came out and I was obsessed, and I remember loving Revenge of the Nerds, actually, but I probably wouldn't like it anymore. There's probably a lot of problematic shit about it.
Yeah, there's a rape scene in that.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Can I skip that bit? Like skipping the bit in Victor Victoria where he sneaks into her bathroom?
I don't know.
Problematic. Oh well. I remember when Back to the Future came out, and like there's just so many Legends is way up there. Did I tell you I recently learned that Legend was Ridley Scott?
No, I didn't know that.
And so is Thelma and Louise, and like a dozen other movies that I was like, really?
He has a variety in his filmography, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm like, and I watched Prometheus. Why am I wasting my time with this shit when he's made these good movies?
I mean, Thelma and Louise also, so someone recommended that to me as a movie to watch, like, right after a breakup.
No.
Like a girl power movie. I was so depressed. I think the movies I had rented to like cheer me up were Thelma and Louise and This Is Spinal Tap and like the roller coaster of emotions.
Pretty sure Dirty Dancing was an 80s movie. Because it was meant to look like early 60s and it looked so 80s.
Oh yeah.
Like are you sure this is a period piece, hon? Yeah, I think Labyrinth might win just by virtue of how many times I've seen that compared to all the other 80s movies that are good. The Adventures in Babysitting, I watched so much as a child. I probably still have every line memorized, even though I haven't seen it since 1990.
Yes, you have. We had it when I was a kid.
94.
2000. We didn't watch it when I was 5. I wouldn't remember that.
You might.
No, I wouldn't. I assure you. We had it sometime in Paonia.
All right.
I think I was a tween.
So for 20 years.
Mine, I confirmed, is an 80s movie, and I'm pretty sure it's my favorite, and I don't even think it's all that close. Clue the movie.
Oh. Yeah, that's way up there. It's a damn fine movie.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. When did Victor Victoria come out? Shit.
I don't know. Let's find out.
Yes, do. IMDb these things for me.
I'm just searching them, but yes. 1982. That's also an 80s movie.
Yes. But this is making the pool bigger. Like, okay, if I had to watch an 80s movie today, what would I watch? Probably not Labyrinth, because I've seen it so much. I'd probably pick one of the ones that I haven't gotten to see in a long time. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead? That's probably 79, isn't it?
I don't know. I'll Google it. One sec. Rosencrantz. 1990.
Damn it. Narrowly edges out.
Yeah. I checked.
So young, though. Damn. Anyway, go ahead.
I mean, it was 30 years ago. I checked Strictly Ballroom, but that was made in 92. It just looks very 80s. I think it's slightly, maybe Australia was slightly behind that sort of trend curve.
They were more into sequins than the States have ever been. Ever.
Disco happened here.
Yeah, but it never died there.
Disco is not dead. Disco is life.
Oh, well, is Eddie still going to be Eddie, or does she have a femi name?
As far as I've heard, she's still Eddie.
Sweet. Is it your turn to read?
Yes.
Okay. Good, because I brought all my painting stuff down. I have started working on the frogs. Well, frogs and toads. I've gotten the backgrounds of the first 8 done, and then I just grab them at random to do their details. I've got to bring down my sketch pad. I need my sketch pad because it's got my notes.
You go get that. I'll find where we're at. Okay. Looking for where we are. Let's see here. They argued about potatoes.
Did you find it?
I did.
Excellent. Come on. Yeah. Okay. Push that. Okay. This is the tripod that I wedge into the rafters in order to have a light that works for painting. Where's a good wedging spot?
This seems safe.
Yes, well, I mean, now that you've said that, you may have a point. However,
I mean, it didn't bother me when I didn't know about it, so there's that.
Anyway, I am listening.
So, it was right after they had heard the call of the very bad bird impersonator.
Yes.
All right. The two hobbits trussed their small packs, put them on ready for flight, and then crawled deeper into the fern. There they crouched listening. There was no doubt of the voices. They were speaking low and furtively, but they were near and coming nearer. Then quite suddenly one spoke clearly close at hand. Here's where the smoke came from, it said. 'Twill be nigh at hand, in the fern, no doubt. We shall have it like a coney in a trap. Then we shall learn what kind of thing it is. Aye, and what it knows, said a second voice.
Yee.
At once, 4 men came striding through the fern from different directions. Since flight and hiding were no longer possible, Frodo and Sam sprang to their feet, putting back to back and whipping out their small swords. If they were astonished at what they saw, their captors were even more astonished. 4 tall men. Can you imagine? You're just like trying to catch some weird orc thing that you saw, and you like drive it into the ferns, and then it's just like what looks to you like a toddler with a sword.
Right?
You're like,
some adorable children.
Some adorable children about to kill us. 4 tall men stood there. 2 had spears in their hands with broad, bright heads. 2 had great bows, almost of their own height, and great quivers of long, green-feathered arrows. All had swords at their sides, and were clad in green and brown of varied hues, as if the better to walk unseen in the glades of Ithilien. Green gauntlets covered their hands, and their faces were hooded and masked with green, except for their eyes, which were very keen and bright. It would be great if they had included the green masks, because I just think that's a really cool costume detail.
Right? That needs to happen. Somehow this isn't working like it did last time I had this over here.
I'm sorry to hear that. Were you in a different wedging spot?
I think I was in a different wedging spot. I think the table was moved over, but I like where the table is now. I'm going to try this. You know what? We'll wedge it later. I'll just get painting, shall I?
It's entirely up to you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just over here being like, if masks are good enough for the rangers of Ithilien.
Yeah, you don't hear Mablung or anyone being like, oh, I can't breathe. This sucks. You're trampling on my rights.
You do not know. Although I was picturing them like flat green, like this color green, but actually if it was like to pass unseen, it was probably more like camo, which is a little less cool.
It doesn't say it's mottled.
That's true, it does not.
You would say if it were mottled. Tolkien has never skimped in his descriptions.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Cool. All right. Their eyes were very keen and bright. At once Frodo thought of Boromir, for these men were like him in stature and bearing, and in their manner of speech. Remember that time that I almost made Boromir have a southern accent? That's what I'm picturing.
Glad you didn't.
We've not found what we sought, said one, but what have we found? Not orcs, said another, releasing the hilt of his sword, which he had seized when he saw the glitter of sting in Frodo's hand. Elves? Said a third doubtfully. Seem a little short.
Right. Like I'd heard all about them, but I'm a little disappointed.
Nay, not elves, said the fourth, the tallest, and as it appeared, the chief among them. Elves do not walk in Ithilien in these days, and elves are wondrous fair to look upon, or so 'tis said.
Aw, Faramir, you're so mean.
He's bitchy.
Right?
Meaning we're not, I take you, said Sam. Thank you kindly. And when you finish discussing us, perhaps you'll say who you are and why you can't let two tired travelers rest. The tall green man laughed grimly. Ha!
Ha!
Lol. I am Faramir, captain of Gondor, he said. But there are no travelers in this land, only the servants of the Dark Tower or of the White. But we are neither, said Frodo, and travelers we are, whatever Captain Faramir may say. Then make haste to declare yourselves and your errand, said Faramir. We have a work to do, and this is no time or place for riddling or parleying. Come, where's the third of your company? The third? Yes, the skulking fellow that we saw with his nose in the pool down yonder. He had an ill-favored look. Some spying breed of orc, I guess, or a creature of theirs. He gave us the slip by some fox trick.
Fox trick.
I don't know what that is, but he gave us the slip is the point.
Yeah.
I do not know where he is, said Frodo. He is only a chance companion met upon our road, and I am not answerable for him. If you come on him, spare him. Bring him or send him to us. He is only a wretched gangrel creature, but I have him under my care for a while. But as for us, we are hobbits of the Shire, far to the north and west, beyond many rivers. Frodo, son of Drogo, is my name. And with me is Samwise, son of Hamfast, a worthy hobbit in my service. We have come by long ways, out of Rivendell, or Imladris, as some call it. Here Faramir started. It grew intent. 7 companions we had. 1 we lost at Moria, the others we left at Parth Galen above Rauros. 2 of my kin, a dwarf there was also, and an elf, and 2 men. They were Aragorn and Boromir, who said that he came out of Minas Tirith, a city in the south.
I apologize. I was just opening my phone and it was still on the Alexa cancel app, and I told myself to soften the bulgur tonight so that I can make some but she heard soften bulgur as softer vulgar.
That sounds like your Discworld name, friend.
Yeah.
Let's see. Boromir, all the 4 men exclaimed. I imagine them saying it in exact unison.
Right. That would be kind of alarming.
Yeah, I agree. Boromir, son of the Lord Denethor.
What if they said it like Barbershop Quartet? Boromir.
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 Oh, that's a lot better. Thank you.
Yes, that's much less threatening. They should stick to that instead of the bird calls.
Yeah.
Boromir, son of the Lord Denethor, said Faramir, and a strange stern look came into his face. You came with him? That is news indeed, if it be true. Know, little strangers, that Boromir, son of Denethor, was High Warden of the White Tower and our Captain General. Sorely do we miss him. Who are you then, and what had you to do with him? Be swift, for the sun is climbing. Are the riddling words known to you that Boromir brought to Rivendell? Frodo replied. Seek for the sword that was broken. In Imladris it dwells. The words are known indeed, said Faramir in astonishment, because it was my fucking dream.
Right?
It is some token of your truth that you also know them. Aragorn, whom I named, is the bearer of the sword that was broken, said Frodo, and we are the halflings that the rhyme spoke of. That I see, said Faramir, thoughtfully, and bitchily.
Right?
Or I see that it might be so. And what is Isildur's bane? That is hidden, answered Frodo. Doubtless it will be made clear in time. Literally, it's hidden. It's under my shirt. Don't ask.
Yes.
We must learn more of this, said Faramir, and know what brings you so far east under the shadow of yonder. He pointed and said no name. He just points in a random direction. It's not even towards Mordor. Under the shadow of yonder.
Yonder. It's a shadow.
It's a shadow. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna try wedging this again because I really do want more light. Oh, more light, Aziz.
I was literally just about to do that. Well, don't get too caught up in it because it is 7:49.
No.
I know, but I can't read too late tonight because I have to get up early for work.
Gross.
I know.
I'm sorry I was so late.
It's okay. Okay, where am I? Under the shadow of yonder. But not now. We have business in hand. You are in peril, and you would not have gone far by field or road this day. There will be hard hand strokes nigh at hand ere the day is full. Okay, that just sounds suggestive.
It does. But it's also interesting to think that Frodo and Sam would have been caught in the middle of a battle if they hadn't run into the Gondor boys.
Right, which is like not something that is part of the movie, but the movie makes the whole thing much more confrontational.
Yes.
Let's see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything moves faster in the movie too.
Yeah.
Like you said, they never got to eat the rabbit.
It's true. I'm glad they got to eat the rabbit in this one. That always bothered me in the movie.
He did not die.
Like they haven't had any good food for so long, and they had such a nice brace of conies.
Right.
But no, they're fine. Let's see. There will be hard hand strokes, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Nudge, nudge.
Then death or swift flight back to Anduin. I will leave two to guard you for your good and for mine. Wise men trust not to chance meeting on the road in this land. If I return, I will speak more with you. Farewell, said Frodo, bowing low. Think what you will, I am a friend of all enemies of the one enemy. We would go with you if we halfling folk could hope to serve you, such doughty men and strong as you seem, and if my errand permitted it. May the light shine on your swords. The halflings are courteous folk, whatever else they be, said Faramir. Farewell. Yeah, thanks, I guess, as long as you're not evil.
Yeah.
The hobbits sat down again. They said nothing to one another of their thoughts and doubts. Close by, just under the dappling shadow of the dark bay trees, two men remained on guard. They took off their masks now and again to cool them as the day heat grew, and Frodo saw that they were goodly men, pale-skinned, dark of hair, with grey eyes and faces sad and proud. They spoke together in soft voices, at first using the common speech, but after the manner of older days, and then changing to another language of their own. To his amazement, as he listened, Frodo became aware that it was the elven tongue that they spoke, or one but little different, and he looked at them with wonder, for he knew then that they must be Dunedain of the south, men of the line of the lords of Westerness.
I have a feeling that these two were like had fresh, brand new children, or had just been married or something, and that's why they were picked out to be like, yeah, you're not taking part in this battle.
Right, like, who should stay behind? How about you, because your wife went into labor right as we were leaving, and you, because this is your last mission before you retire and open a bakery.
Yes.
After a while, he spoke to them, but they were slow and cautious in answering. They named themselves Mablung and Damrod, soldiers of Gondor, and they were rangers of Ithilien, for they were descended from folk who lived in Ithilien at one time, before it was overrun. From such men the Lord Denethor chose his forayers, who crossed the Anduin secretly, how or where they would not say, to harry the orcs and other enemies that roamed between the Ephel Duoth and the river. "It is close on 10 leagues hence to the east shore of Anduin," said Maplung, "and we seldom come so far afield, but we have a new errand on this journey. We come to ambush the men of Harad. Curse them." "Aye, curse the Southrons," said Damrod. "'Tis said that there were dealings of old between Gondor and the kingdoms of the Harad in the far south, though there was never friendship. In those days our bounds were away south beyond the mouths of Anduin, and Umbar, the nearest of their realms, acknowledged our sway. But that is long since. 'Tis many lives of men since any passed to or fro between us. Now of late we have learned that the enemy has been among them, and they are gone over to him, or back to him. They were ever ready to his will, as of so many also in the east. I doubt not that the days of Gondor are numbered, and the walls of Minas Tirith are doomed, so great is the strength and malice." Cheerful. Thanks. Thanks,
Yeah.
Damrod. Feel great now.
Doom and gloom. It's a good thing you are retiring next week.
Right? He's clearly just burned out.
Yeah.
He just wants to make muffins. It's fine.
Yeah.
"But still we will not sit idle and let him do all as he would," said Maplung. "These cursed Southrons come now marching up the ancient roads to swell the hosts of the Dark Tower. Yea, up the very roads that craft of Gondor made. And they go ever more heedlessly, we learn, thinking that the power of their new master is great enough, so that the mere shadow of his hills will protect them. We come to teach them another lesson. Great strength of them was reported to us some days ago, marching north. One of their regiments is due by our reckoning to pass by some time ere noon, up on the road above, where it passes through the Cloven Way. The road may pass, but they shall not. Not while Faramir is captain.
Talk about how perfect Faramir is.
Funny you should ask. He leads now in all perilous ventures, but his life is charmed, or fate spares him for some other end." Their talk died down into a listening silence. All seemed still and watchful. Sam, crouched by the edge of the fern brake, peered out. With his keen hobbit eyes, he saw that many more men were about. He could see them stealing up the slopes, singly or in long files, keeping always to the shade of grove or thicket, or crawling, hardly visible in their brown and green raiment, through grass and brake. All were hooded and masked, and had gauntlets on their hands, and were armed like Faramir and his companions. Before long they had all passed and vanished. The sun rose till it neared the south. The shadows shrank. "I wonder where that dratted Gollum is," thought Sam as he crawled back into deeper shade. "He stands a fair chance of being spitted for an orc, or being roasted by the yellow face, but I fancy he'll look after himself." He lay down beside Frodo and began to doze. He woke, thinking that he had heard horns blowing. He sat up. It was now high noon. The guards stood alert and tense in the shadow of the trees. Suddenly the horns rang out louder and beyond mistake from above over the top of the slope. Sam thought that he heard cries and wild shouting also, but the sound was faint, as if it came out of some distant cave. Then presently the noise of fighting broke out near at hand, just above their hiding place. He could hear plainly the ringing grate of steel on steel, the clang of sword on iron cap, the dull beat of blade on shield. Men were yelling and screaming, and one clear, loud voice was calling, "Gondor! Gondor!"
Did it sound perfect?
Funny you should mention. It doesn't say, but I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
It's at least a better battle cry than "Grandpa!" "Sounds like 100 blacksmiths all smithying together," said Sam to Frodo. "They're as near as I want them now." But the noise grew closer. "They are coming," cried Damrod. "See, some of the Southrons have broken from the trap and are flying from the road. There they go, our men after them and the captain leading." Sam, eager to see more, went now and joined the guards. He scrambled a little way up into one of the larger of the bay trees. For a moment he caught a glimpse of swarthy men in red, running down the slope some way off, with green-clad warriors leaping after them, hewing them down as they fled. Arrows were thick in the air. Then suddenly, straight over the rim of their sheltering bank, a man fell, crashing through the slender trees nearly on top of them. He came to rest in the fern a few feet away, face downward, green arrow feathers sticking from his neck below a golden collar. His scarlet robes were tattered, his corselet of overlapping brazen plates was rent and hewn, his black plaits of hair, braided with gold, were drenched with blood. His brown hand still clutched the hilt of a broken sword. It was Sam's first view of a battle of men against men, and he did not like it much. He was glad that he could not see the dead face. He wondered what the man's name was and where he came from, and if he was really evil of heart, or what lies or threats had led him on the long march from his home, and if he would not really rather have stayed there in peace. All in a flash of thought which was quickly driven from his mind. For just as Mablung stepped towards the fallen body, there was a new noise, great crying and shouting. Amidst it, Sam heard a shrill bellowing or trumpeting, and then a great thudding and bumping like huge rams dinning on the ground. "Where? Where?" cried Damrod to his companion. "May the Valar turn him aside! Momak! Momak!" To his astonishment and terror and everlasting delight, Sam saw a vast shape crash out of the trees and come careering down the slope. Big as a house, much bigger than a house. It looked to him, a gray-clad moving hill. Fear and wonder maybe enlarged him in the hobbit's eyes, but the Momak of Harad was indeed a beast of vast bulk, and the like of him does not walk now in Middle-earth. His kin that live still in latter days are but memories of his girth and majesty. On he came, straight towards the watchers, and then swerved aside in the nick of time, passing only a few yards away, rocking the ground beneath their feet. His great legs like trees, enormous sail-like ears spread out, long snout upraised like a huge serpent about to strike, his small red eyes raging. His upturned horn-like tusks were bound with bands of gold and dripped with blood. His trappings of scarlet and gold flapped about him in wild tatters. The ruins of what seemed a very war tower lay upon his heaving back, smashed in his furious passage through the woods. And high upon his neck still desperately clung a tiny figure, the body of a mighty warrior, a giant among the Summermen. On the great beast thundered, blundering in blind wrath through pool and thicket. Arrows skipped and snapped harmlessly about the triple hide of his flanks. Men of both sides fled before him, but many he overtook and crushed to the ground. Soon he was lost to view, still trumpeting and stamping far away. What became of him, Sam never heard. Whether he escaped to roam the wild for a time until he perished far from his home, or was trapped in some deep pit, or whether he raged on until he plunged in the great river and was swallowed up.
So we're not going to picture a world where he actually found his way back south?
Apparently not.
That's not allowed.
He did.
He did. Somehow he did.
Sam drew a deep breath. "An Oliphant it was," he said. "So there are Oliphants, and I have seen one. What a life! But no one at home will ever believe me. Well, if that's over, I'll have a bit of sleep." Sam is just such a perfect cinnamon roll. It's like, wow, that's so cool. I just saw something I've wanted to see my whole life. Time for a nap.
Yes. He's got his priorities straight.
Indeed. "Sleep while you may," said Mablung, "but the captain will return if he is unhurt, and when he comes we shall depart swiftly. We shall be pursued as soon as news of our deed reaches the enemy, and that will not be long." "Go quietly when you must," said Sam. "No need to disturb my sleep. I was walking all night." Mablung laughed. "I do not think the captain will leave you here, Master Samwise."
Yeah, no.
"But you shall see." Right? Like, oh, buddy, that's cute.
Yeah.
And we are at the end of a chapter, so that's a great stopping place.
Excellent. Oh, I don't know if it's going to look incongruous for Curium here to have his Mongol kilt thing, but no shirt.
I don't know. We'll just have to see.
Right?
I can't see enough of it really to picture it right now, but
yeah, I hear ya. Curium is exploration.
week.
It is. But it's only used in, what the fuck is it used in? As a power source for space probes because it's so extremely radioactive.
Named after Marie Curie, I presume.
Indeed it was. And Pierre, her sidekick. And that also ties into exploration as a theme. Because no one was more explory than them.
True. All right. Well, I'm going to go catch some seas before work tomorrow.
All right. I love you.
I love you too. I'll see you next week.
Yes, I will be reminded by the entire house. The children are going to yell at me because their rooms are going to say it too. Not going to be late. Cuidado.
Llamas.